In the heart of the city, down a back alley choked with shadow and the scent of decay, two worlds were about to collide. Two gang leaders, each commanding a legion, each driven by a different code, stepped into a world of violence and chaos. Here, fortune is everything, and street thugs will do anything for it. On one side of the alley, a sea of red. Hoodlums with red bandanas wrapped tightly around their heads, some faces obscured by red hoods, a uniform of aggression. At the opposite end, the cool, imposing blue. Blue bandanas, matching outfits, even sunglasses glinting in the dim light. They were a mirror image of defiance, ready to claim their territory. As they closed the distance, the air filled with the shatter of glass bottles. Knives were drawn, their polished steel catching the faint city glow. The distant wail of sirens grew closer, but the blue wave of police officers was just a small dam against a raging river. The sheer number of bodies surging forward was overwhelming. The two gangs crashed into each other in a brutal, chaotic fight. But amidst the raw human conflict, a darker presence lurked. Unseen by most, a demon, a figure cloaked in shadow, watched with pure, malevolent joy. He walked through the violent streets, his laughter a sickening melody against the sounds of the brawl. He danced through the chaos, feeding on the hatred. Then, from the folds of his dark coat, he pulled a firearm. The sharp crack of the trigger cut through the noise, and a police officer, desperately trying to restore order, fell to the ground. Panic erupted. Everyone scattered, a stampede of fear, leaving the wounded officer for dead. A bullet was lodged in his eye, a fatal wound. The demon danced with glee as fellow officers rushed to their fallen comrade's side. An ambulance, its lights flashing desperately, tried to push through the panicked crowd, but couldn't get through. The remaining officers formed a human wall around their wounded brother, trying to keep the frantic mob at bay. The demon's laughter echoed, reveling in the horror he had orchestrated. But then, as the demon looked up, his triumphant gaze fell upon a silhouette against the dark night sky. On the rooftop of a tall building, a black figure stood watching from the shadows. Suddenly, the figure's eyes lit up with an intense, burning red, a sight that struck a primal fear deep into the demon's heart. The demon's voice cracked, a single terrified word escaping his lips. The Traveler. The figure on the roof stepped off the ledge. For a breathtaking moment, it floated in midair, defying gravity, before descending slowly into the very middle of the stampede. The two gang leaders, who had paused their war, watched in stunned silence as the Traveler made his way toward the wounded officer. He moved with an unstoppable purpose, forcing his way through the barricade of police officers who had encircled their fallen friend. The demon watched in fearful disbelief, his joy turning to ash in his mouth. The Traveler reached the wounded officer and knelt beside him on the cold pavement. The man was unconscious, his life fading. The other officers watched, confused and wary, asking what he was doing but not daring to intervene. The Traveler placed his hand gently over the officer's wounded eye. Then, for the first time, he spoke. His voice was calm, yet it carried an immense power that silenced the entire street. "Behold," he said, "you have eyes to see." He removed his hand. Where there was once a gruesome bullet wound, the officer's eye was now completely healed, whole and unharmed. The crowd stood frozen. A wave of silent shock and disbelief washed over everyone. The Traveler stood up and reached down, helping the now conscious officer to his feet. The demon, watching from the shadows, became irate, his plan for chaos undone by a miracle. His anger grew as the Traveler handed the officer a shiny gold bullet casing, the very one that should have taken his life. The officer, his face a mask of awe, took the casing and knelt before the Traveler. In that moment, something shifted. The two rival gang leaders, witnesses to this impossible act, walked forward and joined the officer, kneeling together in silent reverence before this mysterious savior. The demon could only watch, seething with a powerless rage. What is the true identity of the traveler? And how will his arrival change the fate of this city? A city caught between the forces of chaos and the hope for a miracle. The story has only just begun. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see what happens next, make sure to follow for more.